edge. Like that. So we now have two shoulder seams that look like this. So what I'm going to do as I go is press it. So at the minute it's quite a bouncy seam, and I'm going to use my tailor's ham and just my little craft iron again to just press them, and I think it's towards the back. Just move that seam, just with your fingers so it's towards the back, and open the seam up as best you can, and then just press that open. It's easier on a tailor's ham because it lets you iron on a curve. Again, I think I got my tailor's ham off Amazon for about £12. Actually, you use it a lot more than you would think that you would. So again, if you're serious about dressmaking, I would invest in just things like that, really. So just to show you that seam now, it's very much a pressed seam rather than it being bouncy like it was before. So we're just going to put that to one side till we move on to the next step, which is the neckties. So you can either have a rouleau loop with a button on the back of this as a closure, or you can do two like ribbon neckties, which you can use ribbon if you choose to, but I've got the fabric, so I'm going to do that. So it's saying fold each necktie, so I've got two pieces like this. Fold each necktie lengthways, right sides together, so like that. Press and fold. So I'm just going to turn it all in on itself, and then again use my tailor's ham and my little iron just to press. Right, okay, so we've got two necktie pieces folded in on each other and pressed. So again on this it does say start stitching on the short end, so stitch along the short end and then stitch all the way down the long side, the long open side, and leave the other end to turn it. What I do is I just go along the entire long edge, leaving both of the short ends open, and then I just finish off the unraw end myself. So it wants us to stitch along those. So that is what we are going to do now. So we have stitched down the sides there. So you turn them the other side out now. And this is the part where I always think I need to buy some loop turners, because I really do need to buy some loop turners. But what I tend to do is get a safety pin, pop it at the end of your work, and then we need to turn this inside out, so I'm going to pop the safety pin in and literally just push it down and bring it out. So you're pushing it down into this own channel, and then you can release some of the fabric at the back of the tie. It's an easy way to do it, but it's easier the fact that I've left 2 raw ends. So this just takes a few minutes just to pop that through there. These are only quite short ties, so I don't know what I would do if I needed to do a longer strip. So you see that it's starting to get, I've got hold of the safety pin now and I can just pull that through. So I do find that quite an easy way to do it. So I've done one, and then I'm just going to do the other one. Learning lots about my camera today. It obviously goes off after a certain amount of time. So we've done these ties, so they do need pressing flat, which is fine. But see where I've now got 2 raw ends? All I do on the end that's going to be on show is literally just sort of tuck it in on itself like that, and later on I'll just hand stitch that closed. So I'm happy with that. I find that easier. So we've got our tailor's ham again, so we're just going to press these nice and flat now. You've got your side seam going down there. Any questions while I'm sort of, you know, on any part of this, just pop your questions in the comments below and I will try and help you as best I can. I mean, I'm doing these sew alongs and I'm not the most accomplished sewer. All I can do is give you a little bit of tips and advice on items that I've made and what works for me. You know, some people might watch it and think, oh my god, I can't believe that you do that, or that you don't do that, or, but you know, everyone's got their little habits, be they good or be they bad. So that is a nice flattened necktie. Just do the other one. See how easy it is with this little iron for small things like this. When I finish the garment and I want to press it properly, I will go and get the iron and the ironing board out and do that. But when you're doing these simple little tasks, it's a lot easier than going to the ironing board, because I would have to keep going downstairs because there's no room in here for me to have an ironing board. Okay, that's fantastic. So we have got 2 very nicely pressed neckties there. Ready for the next bit. Once you've made one, Stevie, they are quite good to, you know, they're sort of a quick afternoon sew really. So the next part that we need to do is attach those neckties to the yoke at the back. So I'll just show you that we've got our side seams that we've sewed up there. So this is the back of the garment, where we've got the yokes. So we haven't put the other back piece on yet. So this is the yoke, and there should be 2 notches, she says. Where those raw ends go. We're just going to pin them in place there. So I'll show you this in a moment. You know, I don't think I can stress enough the fact that if this is your very first one, maybe give it a go in the in a cotton, because this is, you know, this likes to have a little mind of its own. Right, so I've just popped it's hard to show you because of the drape of the fabric. It's beautiful fabric, but it's obviously moves around a lot. So this is the yoke, just sort of pinned that tie to the back of it there, just so we can attach it. So it's this diagram here. And what we do with them is we literally just sew them into place, just with a little stitch quite close to the edge. Because you're gonna then stitch around it later when you stitch everything into itself, but it's just going to hold it there for a while. The only thing you've got to be careful of then is that you've got 2 sort of ties hanging about everywhere. That can sometimes get caught up in the rest of your sewing. Do the other one. So that is your yoke bit now. With your tie attached, that's going to tie at the back. So we'll put that bit aside for the time being. So now we are on to the neck facing. So it's these 3 pieces. So you've got this piece that goes around your neck, and these 2 pieces that go down the back, round the rest of the neck and down the back of the bodice. So these are facings, they're going to sit on the inside of the garment. So these just need sewing together. So I'm just pinning them as it says to do there. Pin them together. So I've just pinned those together at the shoulder seams there, right sides facing. So we're just going to so those are pinned together so that when they're opened up they're facing, that sort of looks like this. So just need to press those seams open there. Please let me know your feedback on these sew-alongs as well. Obviously I'm very new to the whole vlogging thing to start with, but it'd be nice to get your thoughts. Is there things that I'm doing that you're not happy with, or am I missing something out? So we've just pressed them open there, so it's made them nice and flat on the front. And now it actually wants me to finish the outside edge, which is obviously like the outside edge bit, so it wants me to do that. I won't do it on my overlocker. Okay, I'm back from doing that, so we've now got an overlocked edge right round on that fabric. So the next step is actually quite a big step. It is going to be quite difficult if you've used this sort of fabric for your first time. So it wants us to lay the bodice out flat. Right, so I've moved the camera so you can see a bit more of what I'm doing there. So I'm laying the top out. So I've got my neckline here, the open neckline. And then we need to get our facing piece and put it on top of that, right sides together. And this is where it can become a bit difficult, so we need to match up the shoulder seams and pin that into place. So start with those first, don't worry about your neckline yet, just start with your shoulder seams there. Then we're working down, because this is literally going to put a facing on your entire sort of neck part to secure it. I will lift this back up and show you what I've done in a moment. So these pieces are quite easy to marry up. I'm hoping the neck is quite easy as well, but I sometimes have a bit of a nightmare with that. And then you're wanting to put your necktie back over, so when you sew down this face and you're encasing all that. So far so good. Part, move the neck tie out of the way again. So we've got all that on. Now I sometimes need to lift this up, so see how we've got all the facing there, so that when you're going to turn that over, the facing's on the inside. But you can sometimes have a little bit of a nightmare with the neck, and you need to do what is called easing in. So if it doesn't sort of fit in straight away first time, it kind of needs to be eased in. That actually looks at the moment okay. So this is why we stay stitched it, because this is the point now where it would start to stretch out. I think that's probably the most perfect Stevie neckline I've put in. So try and show you what I've done there. I've literally pinned the facing all the way around the neckline and down the sides. So just trying to show you the best I can. So neckline at the front, and then when you turn it round, the rest of the neckline, and then those bits of your yoke, and it now wants you to stitch all that round. So stitch the seam around the neckline. So we are going to do that. I'm going to try and move you back up now. I've got you back, so I'm going to stitch around that whole neckline interfacing, like facing bit that I did. So I'm going to do that bit. Do you ever get those days where your sewing machine is temperamental and it just doesn't want to do anything? I'm having one of those today. Right, so we've stitched all the way around there.